Okay, this is Dr. G back at you. We are on June 26, 2026 at 10:22 Mountain Standard Time. So, here's what we're going to talk about. Today we had somewhat of a squeeze, and I wanted to make a video that showed my analysis as we go into it using the glowy VWAP methods that we've been using. So here's the previous day right here. It's kind of an unusual day where we had a very large drop off that followed by that was preceded by a very large gain the day before. So this is kind of an anomaly. This is the MU earnings announcement that came up, and fair market value said, nope, we're going to go all the way back down to exactly pretty much the same level. Okay, so we've got kind of an unusual thing, so that we're now looking at whether or not we're going to be bearish or bullish. If we back out um, and look for the past week, looks like we're just in a range going back and forth and back and forth. We're at the lower end of that range, and so it's kind of interesting to take a look at it to see if we're going to go lower. Here's my significant levels. I follow Vince very closely on these. This right here would be your 9. This would be your daily 20. So this is what we're taking a look at. We went back up, tested the 20, came back down, and now we're going to see. I really thought it would come back down to this level and then go back up, but we didn't get that today. But here's my analysis. I started out the day bearish, and I took a couple of paper cuts on the way down. But here's the overnight session on June 26th. So here's June 25th, and then this is June 26th. This line right here is the 5-day moving average. The levels on this are not particularly significant, but the context is. And so we are below the 5-day moving average, and so that made me believe that we are looking at somewhat of a bearish day. And so I was taking a look at the bears. Came down below VWAP overnight. Remember, this is kind of a fib level where you want to take a look at right here. From here down to here, hits the golden zone. You would expect it to come down here to the 23. I'm going to put a little line here to remind us that this might be the negative 23. Okay, so this is the value area from the day before, and so I plot that, and here's the value area from the overnight, and I plot that. Now that value area is going to be static once the New York Open is there, and once we get past 8 o'clock, I'll put the current day, so the 26th New York session value area on about 8:15, something like that. I'll start paying attention to it. Okay, so we got the VWAP coming down, or the Globex coming downward. We had a significant level right here. I put a high of session, even though it's still Tokyo. I put high of session at the high point of that, and this is following down. And so let's take a look at the replay and see what happened. So we're taking a look at, so what levels are we looking at? Well, here is low of session for Tokyo right here. So we might want to put another little line right there. And if we go past this line, it wouldn't be surprising because we have the negative 23 as this is coming down. Now, if this doesn't take out the Tokyo session and keep going down, then that's kind of a bullish sign of things going up. And so let's see what happens as the minutes go by today. Let's get this so we can actually see it. So the first 5 minutes goes, it's a bunch of chop. Now what am I noticing right here? Okay, I am noticing this is coiling. This is kind of creating a Oops, sorry. This is kind of creating a wedge pattern like this. Now I don't cotton to a ton of wedges. What this tells me right here is there's a consolidation, and we don't know if it's going to break down or going to break up, because the lows are respecting the low of session VWAP, and the highs are going past the high of day session. And so this gives me pause to think maybe this is going to be a bullish day, but it's going back and forth and back and forth. So what I'm really doing is I'm paying attention, really close attention, to this area right here where this New York VWAP, it's going back and forth and back and forth. Now you can get paper cut pretty bad right through here. Just remember that if you take a 20-point loss and a 20-point loss and a 20-point loss, once this breaks out, it's going to go more than 60 points. And so just keep patient and don't size up. Just let it tell you what it wants to do. Now in this case, it is coming down here, and the low didn't hit our low right here for low of session, but I'm thinking it should. And so I'm hesitant to get in here. Now this is still 750, and it has not really chosen a direction. And remember, timing is important. So anything from 750 to 815 is where the big moves are going to be taken. So I'm really taking a look whether it's going to break this level up here or break this level down here. Now, if you get paper cut a lot, what you really want to do is wait for the close of the candle. Okay, so in this case, we wick down. You might have gone past the low of session VWAP and go, oh, okay, I'm going to go short, but the candle didn't really close, even on the 1 minute. Okay, now if we go out to a 2 minute, it's a little bit easier to see, and there's a little less noise. But as this is coming down, you can see that it is respecting this low of day VWAP. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this wedge because we know that it's wedging back and forth, and that means it's getting ready to make a move, a coil. Okay, now I've got my session on right here. This is 750. I'm still not really paying attention to it. What I really want to take a look at is this area right up here. Are we going to bounce back into yesterday's value area, or are we going to keep going down? So far, it's telling me that we're probably going to look to come back up here. The VWAP's up here, or the Globex is up here. This right here, remember when I put this on up here? This is kind of significant because it's going to tell us how many of these people are losing money. Now, this is the point of this video right here, is I'm going to show you what the squeeze looks like. All these people right here that have sold, and they're selling, are all making money. They came up here, and some people lost their stop losses, and it sent it down. Okay? And now, all these people that have shorted right through here are now making money. Okay? Now, what do you think is going to happen when we get above this yellow line, which is it was started about 1:30 last night? What do you think is going to happen? All these overnight pajama traders are going to be losing money, and they don't want to be losing money on an overnight trade. And so, what do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to cover, and they're going to get out of their positions. And what's that going to do? Well, it's going to send the price higher. Okay. However, we need a significant pop before those stop losses get taken. That pop would be around right here. Okay. So we have the Globex coming down right here, which is a natural target. We've got value area from yesterday, which might be a goal up there. I'm thinking it might want to go up there. Okay, if not, it's going to continue down, and you can just do the fib on this thing. And we did before. This goes down, but look at the day before. I mean, we're taking a look at here. And so if you're really bearish, I mean, you could do this number right here and say, hey, where's the next target? Well, it's going to be down here. So if we lose my mouse, dang it, my mouse is running out of batteries. Hold on. I can't even stop the video. Okay, there we go. Sorry to take your time. Okay, I'm gonna have to edit this, or I'll just let it go. Okay, here we go. We're back in business. Here's our negative 23. So if we lose this low of session VWAP, then we might be looking at some Fibonacci sequences going down. But so far, we're staying above here, and we're starting to make a small volume area right here, or value area right here. And so even though it's really nice to get into a trade and get out by 8 o'clock, this ain't happening today because it's just going back and forth and back and forth. So far, it's a range day. We can tell by the VWAP being very, very flat. But we're going to continue on. It's still early in the day. Okay, this comes back down. It's still respecting. And now here's a significant break. Okay. Now for me today, I took this trade. I took this trade off of the New York VWAP right here. This showed a reclaim. Now, where was my stop loss? Well, my stop loss was down here below the session, and I was kind of taking a chance to get above. I went above, and then I went into drawdown about 10 points right here, and then came back, and then really took off. Now, this area right here is the squeeze that I was talking about. Okay, remember this yellow line is the very high of Tokyo. It's coming down, and we know that all of these people are shorting, especially right here. If we put on a volume chart right here, you would see that this area right here is rife with sellers. Okay, so as this comes up and just does its little dance for the first half an hour, then, and it's respecting this low of day, then this comes up, and then as soon as we hit this area right here and break it, we have the squeeze and just went back up. So my trade today was at the time value area high when it well, actually I had one right here for 45 points, and then as it left right here on the squeeze, then I added. Okay, I didn't even put a limit order. I put a stop buy right here. My target. So my first trade was from here to here, and then when I saw that the squeeze was on, I added very quickly right here, and it went clear up to Globex, and then I was out. That was an $800 trade for me. Came down here and started messing around, and then went quite a bit higher. Now you could have taken anything in here. Remember, 745 is when I'm comfortable taking a trade, when all the inventory has been secured and back and forth. But I can tell right here that we've got some support on the low of session, and as this went up and reclaimed, right there I got in, and then I took some profit right here, but on the squeeze I re-added and went up to the Globex. Okay, so I started with 3 contracts as this squeeze went by. So it's there, and then from here, once we got past the Tokyo high, we made it up to Globex, so that I had 100 points today. Okay, really, really easy to make money if you got a squeeze on. Right? You got to recognize it though, because this was going back and forth and back and forth. Now you could have taken it right here. You could have taken it right here off the session high, and it could have bounced down and come down to these levels right here, and it would have been perfectly valid. But you have to kind of be nimble with your bias. Now, I was bearish until I saw these three bounces right here, and then as soon as we reclaimed, then I decided to start playing a little bit. But this right here to here was cake. Okay, now what could you do at this point is you could see the retest and then put a handoff right here. This line right here is the handoff, and as long as you're above that, you're going to go upwards. Okay, and so this probably goes up and tests. At this point, I stopped paying attention, but let's just see what happens. We're a little bit off right here, and so maybe I change my anchor point because I can see it's not quite mathematically hitting the way I want it to. But I don't know if I can get a better one. No, I can't. That's just going to have to do. Now, it doesn't absolutely have to hit that area, but you just have to adjust to see which one works the best. Okay, now then you have the argument of, aren't you just manipulating the data? Well, somewhat, yeah. But if you got a draw that works better, what's happening here is that this is coming up and coming down, and now instead of tracking who got in right here at the Globex, we're tracking who got in at the value area high to see how these guys are making. Now, as long as we're above this VWAP right here, all of these people right here are making money. They're going to hold on to their positions and they're not going to sell. Once we get down here, then we're going to probably lose it down to maybe the VWAP or maybe backing into the New York. And that's just going to be a natural fib. Okay, so you put this on right here and you go, okay, it would be somewhat likely for it at this point to come down here, and this would be the 50 for the day, so that wouldn't be unheard of to retrace back to the New York. And so let's see how this plays out. Okay, now we've got a new high. The value area is kind of messing around a little bit, and now if you're like, ooh, it's going higher, I want to get in, well, what about this retracement down to the 50? I mean, because that's what's on the table next. Okay, now even if you do a high to high, something of this nature, yeah, let's actually do the high to high from right there. Okay, so this comes up and messes around, and now we've hit our handoff. Okay, when do we take that handoff? When it hits the parent. All right, so let's see what's happening here. And now we're coming back below and messing around. And now we have a new high day VWAP. This comes down, and so my guess is it's going to go back and forth between Globex. See, Globex, the Tokyo session, all of these things are wrap them up into one. And so this might be a really good time. If this comes down here, this is going to be tough to get through, but I don't think it's going to, maybe it's going to make it down there. Oh, it did. Okay, so what does this tell us? Well, this one's dead. So we're going to take that one off. And I might have, and if I hadn't made money right there, I might have lost the money right through here. I thought it might have bounced, hit that, and gone back up. But can you see the high of day session and how it's respected right there? If you were long at this point and it rejected right there, you probably ought to see what happens. You probably ought to take your position off and see what happens at this point, because it looks like it's going to go down to the next VWAP. And it did. Boom, boom, boom. Now, here's what we got now. Now we have the value area high and low, and it is 9:14, and so that's significantly into the day. And so it wouldn't be unheard of for this to come down here and then bounce back up. That wouldn't be heard of because this is the value area low for the day. Okay. I'm not sure what this line is here. I'm going to get rid of it. Okay. Now, our premise for the day, mouse again. Dang it. Sorry, this video is going to go on. The premise for today is that we still, I mean, look, we got a double bottom pretty much. And so we might go in there, but look what happened here. We bounced, our high of day was right at the POC of yesterday, and then it immediately reversed. So that's going to be telling me that we might be chopping through here. However, we've hit all our VWAPs, we've gone below, and let's just see if it comes back. And yes, it came back and hit our IB for the day. Now, if you weren't out at this point, if you got in right there and didn't get out, then that's your own fault right there. Because you can see that it's been chopping around this area. Now, could it go up to that negative 23? Of course it can. Of course it can. Okay? Of course it could come up here. How much are you going to take a chance on that? Let's just see what happens through the day. And it look above and fail, and then it just kept on coming back. Now, it looks like it's found a comfortable area right through here. It's reclaimed the high of day, and so you might want to see if it comes up here to the negative 23. As of this moment at 10:44, it's playing around with it. Okay, but I have found off of a big move. This is a B-shaped profile. Okay, this is a B-shaped profile, and so if it goes, it's really going to go. But more than likely, it's just going to stay up here all day. Okay, but the thing I wanted to show you was the squeeze right here. Comes up, all these people that are shorted overnight are like, oh no, let's close our position. And you can see that gigantic move up here because everybody's covering right through there. Okay, all right, we will talk to you later.